Take the old dirt road out past the hedgerows and the rusted iron gates. No path to the front door, holes in the floorboards, and the roof is leaking rain.
Good morning. So this is Saturday. It's the weekend after Labor Day. Hey, I wanted to talk about a brother and sister that are buried here in West Maplewood Cemetery. This used to be called City Cemetery, and they changed the name many years ago to West Maplewood Cemetery. But this was Anderson, Indiana's first public cemetery. Like I said, I want to talk about a brother and sister who are buried here. And here's the sign, West Maplewood. Of course, the story begins with the parents. George Hilligoss was born in Rush County, Indiana. He moved to Madison County, where we are. And like many in that generation, became a farmer. So the Civil War broke out, and he joined the 75th Indiana Infantry. Served a couple of years. And after the war, he got out and decided he wanted to become a doctor. So in 1867, he graduated from University of Michigan, moved to a town called Mount Vernon, Indiana, and opened up his practice. He would also open up a drugstore. And that is where he met his wife, Caroline. Now, Caroline was born in Germany. Her parents migrated to the United States. And so Carolyn and George got married, and they moved to a town called Fishersburg, Indiana. That's where they started their family. They became well known. And so Charlie, their son, he was born in 1871. And a few years later, his sister Gertrude was born 1875. There's Charlie's information and Gertrude's information. And this is the marker of the parents, Carolyn and George. Well, in 1881, Gertrude became ill with diphtheria. Despite her dad being a doctor, she passed away. And of course, the mother, Carolyn, was distraught. She could not find comfort in family or the modern religion. So she decided to turn to spiritualism. She convinced her husband to go to Terre Haute, Indiana. So they did. George and his son Charlie went to Terre Haute to do some research on spiritualism. They actually did a seance. They contacted some people and they did a seance there in Terre Haute. And it's during this seance that George claimed he was visited by his deceased mother, and that his mother told him of a baby that she lost before George was born. And George never knew this. And then he claimed that his daughter, Gertie, visited them in the seance. And not only spoke to George, but spoke to Charlie, his son, and Gertie's brother. And she told them that they would be given instructions. I don't know what those instructions are, but they would return to Fishersburg, and then they would move to LaPel, Indiana. And in LaPel, he opened up another practice. Well, in 1888, Charlie, the son, developed an injury to his foot. The following day, he sent notice to his father because Charlie was in Purdue University studying to be a writer. So his father, George, went to Purdue to see if he could help his son. And he decided to bring Charlie back home to LaPel. So for about a year, Charlie couldn't walk. He was an invalid. He did a lot of writing, a lot of reading. And it was decided that he needed to have his leg amputated. So they did. They would amputate Charlie's leg. And not long after that, Charlie developed an infection. And Charlie died in 1887. So I do apologize. It was 1887, not 1888. So the mother and father, losing both of their children, decided to have this monument created in Italy. They sent pictures to a sculptor in Italy, and he agreed that he would make this monument. Well, not long after that, there was a lynching in New Orleans, Louisiana, of an Italian family. And in protest, this sculptor decided he was not going to do any work for any Americans. Well, Dr. Hilligoss somehow persuaded the sculptor to continue making this monument. So he did. He finished the monument, and it was delivered here in the 1890s. And it was erected right here in what was known then as City Cemetery. But that's not where the story ended. About 3 years later, there was a skeptic of spiritualism who came to Anderson because there is a spiritualist camp nearby called Camp Chesterfield. And it still exists today. And he claimed spiritualism was full of frauds, hoaxes, and that they were just trying to scam people of money. Well, Caroline didn't sit back. She filed a $10,000 lawsuit against this gentleman, this skeptic, because he also claimed that this monument to Charlie and Gertrude was not made in Italy. It was made right here in Anderson. But Carolyn won the lawsuit because she was able to find residents of Anderson that actually went to Italy to oversee the making of this monument. So Carolyn was successful in her lawsuit. So here we are, probably Anderson's most famous statues of Charlie and Gertrude. Some say these statues are haunted, some say they move, that Gertie's arm sometimes is in a different position. But as you can see, people do come out and leave mementos for Gertrude and Charlie. So Carolyn Hilligoss died in 1900 at the age of 55. And George Hilligoss died in 1920 at about the age of 81. So that's the story of Charlie and Gertrude. And if you're ever in Anderson, please come by and pay your respects.